Hey, guess what's happening on this week's episode of the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with your friend and host, Oscar Camejo.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever in your life ever felt stuck in a rut, knowing deep down inside that change is needed, but you felt like there's been this huge mountain that's in your way that you have to climb? I've been there before. Maybe it's the fear of letting go of your old habits, or maybe it's that worry that keeps plaguing your mind that, you know what, it's too impossible. It's too hard. That it's going to take too much, it's going to hurt too much, and it'll never stick. Listen, when it comes to weight loss and reversing type 2 diabetes and even achieving a healthy lifestyle, I know it can be daunting. Let's get real for a moment, folks. Beating type 2 diabetes isn't about perfection. It never has been. It's about progress, step by step, day by day. Whether you've tried a dozen diets, or maybe you feel like you failed more times than you can count, this episode is for you, my friend. Today, we're going to dig into the psychology, the mindset of change, why it's hard, how it happens, and what truly works for reversing type 2 diabetes. Listen, I'm living proof that it can be done. We'll talk all about the stages of change and the strategies for motivational interviewing ourselves, because sometimes we need to interview ourselves and be real and be honest about where we are. And also, we're going to talk about the little shifts that we can make that will add up to big wins. We all want to win, folks. I know. That's why I want you to stick around, because you're about to learn how to build a plan for lasting change, one that actually fits your lifestyle. So stick around to hear the rest of today's episode. Let's go. Be sure to visit the website at www.beatingdiabeteslifestyle.com for access to free resources and other information that will help you along your journey. If you would like to submit a question or comment about the show or to learn more about the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle, you can always email me at hello@beatingdiabeteslifestyle.com. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Welcome to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with me, your host, Oscar Camejo, helping diabetics make lifestyle changes to reverse type 2 diabetes. Every episode, I want you to know this. Folks, this is a very safe space. No judgment. We're here to build a rapport. If you've been listening to me for any length of time, you know my heart. I can be trusted. I want you to understand that I've been there. I've been where many of you are. So trust what I'm sharing with you in today's episode, and do me a favor, go and check out some of the past episodes. I always talk honestly about the real struggles that we all face and the victories that come when we decide and make up our minds to beat diabetes. There's no judgment, folks. It's always going to be 100% support. So let's start where change begins. And that's by recognizing that making lasting changes is tough, but it's not impossible. So let's have some real talk for a moment. I want to share with you why change feels hard in the first place. Let's address the elephant in the room, folks. Change feels overwhelming, especially when you're staring down years of habits, years of eating comfort foods, years of routines that feel like it's all a part of your identity. Maybe you worry about losing your favorite foods. Maybe you have this fear that every slip means you failed. I've been there, folks. It's normal to have these concerns. The truth is, everyone starts somewhere. And it's okay. It's okay to admit what needs to change. We have to be honest with ourselves. It's not about beating ourselves up. That's a difference. It's not about looking at the scale and beating ourselves up because we've gained a few pounds over the weekend because we overate. It's not about beating ourselves up when we look in the mirror and we see the extra love handles. And it's not about that. But being honest with yourself does require being honest about which behaviors are keeping us stuck. What are the real consequences if nothing changes? Sometimes naming the problem is the first step to fixing it. Folks, recently WebMD, I write for WebMD. I'm a regular contributor to their patient blogs. They reached out to me and they wanted to film me or film an interview of me sharing my story of being 268 pounds at one time, having heart issues, having high blood pressure, hypertension, high cholesterol, and struggling with type 2 diabetes. They felt like my story would be so compelling that it would inspire many people towards change. See, folks, I remember in August 2020, when I was first diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, it was a huge shock. I learned about it when I was in the hospital. I was admitted because I was having some issues with breathing, fatigue, frequent urination, and a whole bunch of other things. I had to change. I had 5 days to change. So WebMD wanted to film this story, and that story recently got published. And I watched the video several times. I'll be honest, I watched it like over 10 times. And I kept getting something new out of it. Now, I'm the one being interviewed, and I was like, man, this is very powerful. But it all came down to my willingness to change. And folks, I'm going to tell you, going from 268 pounds to losing over 80 pounds in less than a year, it took hard work. I mean, I had to be real with myself. I had to really overcome the pain and the struggle of change. But I realized that if I continued down the road that I was on at the time, overeating, indulging in all kind of foods that were not healthy for me, not getting enough sleep, always stressed out, and not exercising on a regular basis, that, you know what? The condition, my type 2 diabetes, was going to get worse. I remember 2 years before that, in 2018, when I first went to the doctor and I was diagnosed with prediabetes. And they told me, hey, you know what? If you don't change, this could progress into type 2 diabetes. So I didn't take it serious enough then. So I was faced with the consequences, or the possible consequences, but I didn't make change a reality in 2018. And that's why in 2020, I found myself in the hospital staying for 5 days or so, having to now contemplate whether or not I was going to go down this dark hole, if you will. Folks, I didn't want to die. So I made up my mind to change. I had to be real with myself. So that's why I am a big proponent in honesty, no self-judgment. Because listen, I can spend an hour just beating you up and tearing you down about where you are in your weight loss journey. And there's so many people, influencers as they call themselves, out on social media that's really tearing people down. And, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to stop being lazy and all this other stuff. Listen, folks, we don't need a beat down session. We beat ourselves up enough, right? So let's move on. How change really works. I believe there's about 5 stages. At least this is what I've learned. When it comes to really changing, there are 5 stages that a lot of us undergo. And this is something powerful. I want you to take note of this. And there's research that supports this. But I want it to be an aha moment for you. So on your journey towards change, here are the 5 stages. Number 1, I'm just going to list them real quick and I'll explain them. Number 1 is pre-contemplation. Number 2, contemplation. 3, preparation. 4, action. 5, maintenance. Now, number 1, pre-contemplation. That's not even thinking about change yet. That's before you're even contemplating the change. It's just not even on your mind. You're not even thinking about the change yet. Number 2, contemplation. You're aware, but maybe you're considering it, but still you're on the fence about the changes that you need to make. Now, remember, we're talking about losing weight. We're talking about reversing type 2 diabetes and doing whatever it takes to experience change, right? So keep that in mind. Now, number 3, the preparation stage. You're making plans, you're gathering tools, and you're ready to take your first steps. And yeah, it may be confusing. You just got the diagnosis. You're literally on your way home from the doctor. And you're like, what do I do now? I got this diagnosis. I received this paperwork that says you need to take these meds, you need to exercise more, and so forth. So you're like, okay, I've been thinking about this. I'm thinking about this change. I'm contemplating. I'm aware. I know that I need to go ahead and change. So now I need to prepare myself for what the rest of my life is going to look like. Great. That's preparation stage. Now, this stage is important. Here's number 4, the action stage. So now, with the action stage, number 4, you're in the trenches. You're actively changing your habits. Maybe it's messy, but at least you're moving. You're moving towards lasting change. Now, number 4 is that maintenance stage. That's where you're sticking with your new routine. It's been several months now. It's starting to feel normal. You see, knowing your stage and where you are helps. That's why you need to ask yourself, where am I today? And listen, folks, I want you to remember this. Moving from one stage to the next is progress, and it's the progress worth celebrating. Now, I don't know where you are in your journey. I know that when I got my diagnosis in the hospital in August 2020, I was in between that pre-contemplation and contemplation stage. I wasn't really thinking about change, serious change at all until I got that diagnosis. And then for 5 days, I had to really think about what was going on. I had to face the reality of where I was. I was bombarded with all this information about diabetes. I never heard anything about reversing type 2 diabetes. All I was told was I was going to be on medication for the rest of my life. And that did something to me because I was like, man, I want to change. I want to get to the point where I finally shed weight and be healthy again. Yeah, you need to identify where you are and what stage you are in your journey, but you need to interview yourself. Yeah, that's right. I want you to interview yourself. I want you to sit down in a quiet place, no TV, no social media in the background, get off your phone. I want you to get to the point where you can interview yourself because it's time to motivate yourself. I'm here to help motivate you. I want to inspire you, but it's something about doing that self-reflection and building that self-belief and self-support. Because guess what, folks? I know a thing or two about going at this alone. We all sometimes face challenges and we feel like we're alone. But when you're actually alone and there's no one there to inspire you, when loved ones aren't there to really support you in the way that you need, they may not show up the way that you need to. But that's why it's important to engage in self-motivation. And that entails interviewing yourself. Motivational interviewing is a proven strategy that helps us change. And this is what I mean by that. Holding yourself accountable, but never judging yourself. So imagine if you had a diabetes lifestyle coach that was sitting in front of you that you can take with you 24 hours a day. They ride with you to work. They ride back home with you. They're with you at work. They're there constantly motivating you. That's where the positive self-talk comes in because you spend a lot of time with yourself in your head anyway. So you might as well start interviewing and motivating yourself. And this is what I mean. When you hold yourself accountable and never judge yourself, ask yourself, have I been accountable to myself? Have I been judging myself? That's an interview question. You need to get to the point where you can identify your story and where you are in your story. So you ask yourself, where am I in my journey right now? What do I really feel about what's going on in my life? And I want you to respond like you really matter to yourself. Like, you know what? Whatever your name is, I do want to change. Yeah, this is basically like self-talk, right? You're talking to yourself. That's what I had to do when I was in the hospital. Like, Oscar, you need to be accountable to yourself. Stop judging yourself. You've been beating yourself up. You need to look in the mirror. And here's your story. Well, Oscar, yeah, you know what? You are 268 pounds right now. You're overweight. You're considered obese. I hear you. You need to make some changes. And guess what? Let's move on. You got to cheer for yourself, folks. When you make small steps, that can feel empowering. So tell yourself, hey, I'm proud of you. You're making changes. Even if you have to write down in a journal or something, in your notes on your phone, cheer yourself on. Look in the mirror every morning and tell yourself that you're proud of yourself. In those days where you don't feel proud of yourself, when you've had a cheap meal and you feel down about it, yeah, okay, you could look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, yeah, I know you ate a little bit more than you need to, but guess what? You're a winner. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Okay? Planning. Here's another thing. It's important to plan. It's important to set goals and hold yourself accountable. Yeah, I know sometimes when you're on the way home, you want to stop and get some sweets. Hey, I'm not telling you not to eat sweets, but sometimes we have to ask ourselves, how is this going to benefit me? You need to ask yourself, how is this going to benefit me in the long run? You see, that's about self-accountability. Last thing, sometimes you have to coach yourself instead of criticizing yourself. You have to guide yourself without blaming yourself. There are studies that show that motivational interviewing, motivational self-talk really works, folks. Even helping yourself, knowing that you have type 2 diabetes, helping yourself to eat better, sticking to your plan, and feeling more confident in that you're making positive changes, it goes a long way. Now, I'm speaking from the standpoint, assuming that you don't have a support system. I didn't have a strong support system, so I literally had to be my own self-coach. I had to talk, as I learned things, I had to talk to myself. I had to encourage myself. When I would go into the weight room or the gym rather, and I would see all these people who look healthier than I was, and I felt gym shame, you know, when you walk into the gym and everybody looks like they're looking better than you, and then you just feel that shame and you go hide in a corner so nobody sees your stomach, you know, when you're working out or that you're struggling. I did all of that. Folks, I have all kinds of stories that I can tell you about gym shame. So I know exactly what that is. But it's something about being willing to change your thinking about yourself. Folks, I used to think of myself as this big fat walrus. And the more and more I dwelt in that mindset, the more difficult it became for me to change. But then something clicked one day and I was like, you know what? No, you're not a big fat walrus. You're not a walrus at all. You're Oscar. Yeah, you're 268 pounds. Yeah, you're dealing with type 2 diabetes. Yeah, you have hypertension. Yeah, you're dealing with this other stuff. But you can change, and you are going to change. So stop feeling sorry for yourself and do whatever it takes to change. So that's why, folks, right now, I want to take this moment and tell you that change is possible. So here's some strategies for real change. This is not some high, lofty idea up in the clouds. These are things that you can actually do to change. So how do you put all this into action? Well, here's what works and has worked for many people, and I believe it can work for you. Number one, explore your ambivalence. Be honest. What are you afraid to lose? And what might you gain? Okay, number two, ask, don't judge. Why do you eat when you're stressed? What triggers your cravings? These are things that you should ask yourself and find out about. Number three, set simple agendas. Focus on one small habit at a time, maybe swapping a sugary drink for some water. We all could use more water in our life, folks. Maybe walking after dinner is something huge that you can start implementing. See, something small, right? Number four, build up your confidence. Remember, each success, no matter how small, will go a long way. Progress is stronger than perfection, always, 100% of the time. You see, when you build up your confidence and you start celebrating those small successes and those small wins, you're going to want to keep winning. So, number 5, problem solve together with your support system. If you do have a support system that includes, let's say, a friend, family member, maybe a community of walkers, people who want to get out and exercise, other people who like to cycle or swim or what have you. It could even be your professional support team, like your doctor, your diabetes educator, if you have one, your endocrinologist or whomever. The goal is to develop a support system so that you can get the help that you need when times get tough. Yes, folks, I was going through my journey by myself and I had to motivate myself. I had to do this self-talk because guess what? There are times where your friends may not be available. The community may not be available and you're alone. But the more and more I built positive habits, the more it became a thing of consistency for me. It became a lifestyle for me. So whenever I would face a problem, if I didn't have someone I can turn to, guess what? I wanted to problem solve. Okay, how come I'm losing weight, but I just felt like I reached a plateau? Okay, I would do more research. I was on it. I was motivated to change. That's what I want you to be, folks, a problem solver. Because right now you're facing a problem, right? Whether it's high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, and other related issues, you're faced with a problem right now, right? Your journey is not over, folks. And don't forget, it's okay to move at your own pace. The journey through these stages of change is not a race, it's a journey. And listen, there is a promise of progress. I will tell you this. I promise you that if you stick to it, you're going to see positive results. If you take anything away from today, let it be this. You are not defined by your diagnosis or your past habits. Change is possible. Science shows it, research shows it, and hey, I'm living proof that it can be done. And so real people like myself and others who have changed and made it a lifestyle, we're proof that it can be done. Whether you're just starting out, maybe you're stuck in the middle, or you're thriving in your maintenance zone, your commitment matters, folks. Every health change, no matter how small, is an investment in your future. That's why in this episode, I spoke to you from the heart. I want you to explore more practical tools and episodes. I want you to download some free resources that I have on my website at beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com. Folks, there's so much information out there. You're never alone. I want you to keep moving forward, one step at a time, because every step counts. So go on my website at beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com. I have a free weight loss planner. You know, it's not just a tracker. It's a tool that helps you stay focused and build consistency, because consistency is the key to breakthrough, folks. Folks, you've been listening to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle podcast. It's been a pleasure to share content that I believe will inspire and motivate you. And as always, remember, stay focused, keep moving, never go back, leap forward, bounce back because you can, my friend. And above all else, trust God. You got this. I believe in you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with Oscar Camejo. We hope you enjoyed this episode. As a reminder, this podcast is intended for motivational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional care by a physician or other healthcare professional or qualified fitness instructor. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or professional advice or services. If you're looking for help on your journey, seek a qualified medical practitioner. It's important that you utilize someone who is a trained, licensed healthcare professional who can help you on your journey toward good health.